I do what I do. Hey man, I do what I do.
One exception became the loophole that resurrected slavery in everything but name. Almost immediately, Southern states passed these black codes, these laws from 1865 to 1866 that criminalized freedom itself. I talked about it. Loitering, vagrancy, idleness, not having papers, not showing proof of employment. These weren't real crimes. They were traps designed to funnel newly freed black men and women into the criminal justice system. Poverty became a crime. Freedom became a crime. Prisons swelled with black bodies. And then they came and then came to seeing the convict leasing. So you put all these people in jail, and then the state said, well, we're gonna go ahead and lease these people out. Lease literally. You need 10, I'm gonna send 10 down to the bricklaying plant. They leased them out to private industries, cotton plantations. So you back on the same plantation you used to pick cotton on. The railroad, coal mines, turpentine camps, public works. These weren't jobs, they were death sentences with paperwork. Leased prisoners had no rights, they had no protections, they had no pay, and they were whipped. They were starved, they were beaten, and they were literally worked to death. And the companies got free labor. The states pocketed the profit and the slavery was reborn, only this time it wore the mask of criminal justice and penal reform. My granddaddy, they called him Teal because he had a teal blue eye. He had blue eyes. His real name was Eddie Williams. He had two brothers, Lonnie and Gus. Well, granddaddy got arrested for doing something he shouldn't have done, and they put him on a chain gang, and he was working on the railroad. And as he was working on the railroad, the story goes, a railroad tie jumped up and hit him in the eye, and that's how he lost his eye. So by the time I saw him in late 70s, 80s, he had a patch on his eye. But he didn't get medical attention for that. They put that patch on his eye and sent him back out there. So this is real. I can reach out and I've met somebody who was on the chain gang, my granddaddy. And this whole system wasn't an accident. It was deliberately engineered to keep black labor in chains to rebuild the Southern economy on the backs of the very people who had just been freed. It restored the racial hierarchy. Slavery had enshrined again, okay? It worked, it lasted, and it has never fully gone away. Now, the convict leasing wasn't desperation, it was design. A cold, calculated business. It was modeled, rooted in racial capitalism. Once black men were funneled into jails through the black codes, our incarceration was monetized at every level. Sheriffs, deputies collected arrest fees. Judges imposed fines they knew couldn't be paid. Counties pocketed court costs. States charged private companies to lease the bodies. The entire justice system became a profit-making conveyor belt built on black labor. And make no mistake, black prisoners weren't housed. They were warehoused. Shipped off to contractors with no oversight. No protections, no rights. Because remember, these are convicts. These are people who committed crimes. And see, here's the cold part about, because leased convicts had no market value, unlike enslaved black people from generations before, they were disposable. If a convict dropped dead, another arrest would be sued. Just arrest some more people. That was the supply and the replacement. A place called Parchman Farm in Mississippi. That's where my granddaddy was incarcerated. You had Angola down in Louisiana. You had countless camps across the South. Conditions were so brutal that death wasn't an accident, it was an expectation. Shout out to Joshua Ben Joseph. Mortality rates for leased convicts were higher than during slavery. And nobody was ever held accountable. Do you hear that? You had more of a chance of dying after slavery in one of these work camps after being arrested by Jim Crow than you did in slavery. And we're not talking about grown men. We talk about 12 and 13-year-old children released out to build levees in Mississippi and mine coal in Alabama and lay track across Georgia, or harvest sugarcane and cotton in the blistering sun. They worked in all conditions, beatings, solitary confinement, all routine. And if you were injured, you were left to die. And if you tried to run away, you were shot. If you died, your body was discarded. The state still got its check. The company still got its labor. And the jailer just arrested the next black man that came into the system, even if he was just passing through. This system was so profitable that by the 19th century, southern states stopped funding their prisons entirely. If you died, your body was discarded. The state still got its check. The company still got its labor. And the jailer just arrested the next black man that came into the system, even if he was just passing through. This system was so profitable that by the 19th century, southern states stopped funding their prisons entirely. Why? Because the prison was paying for itself. The prison was the big business. Why pay for prisons when private companies would pay for prisoners? That's how seamless the handoff was from arrest to conviction to forced labor. What emerged was not justice, but a racial conveyor belt. Arrest, convict, lease, abuse, discard, repeat. And it never stopped moving. It just evolved. So by the 1870s, convict leasing wasn't just a scheme. It was an industry. Georgia leased its first 100 prisoners in 1868 for $2,500 to the railroad contract. That was a lot of money back then. And within years, the model spread like wildfire across the South. Every state but North Carolina adopted it. Leasing contracts were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Railroads, coal companies, lumber mills, plantations thrived in a steady supply of incarcerated black people. All these so-called robber barons, all these folks, these rich white men up in back east that have all these philanthropists and all these Rockefeller type folk, all of them benefited from that. By the 1890s, the math was plain. 80 to 90% of prison populations in some states were black. Even though black people made up a tiny fraction of the general population, at that time, we were only 9% of the population. Shout out to Flowers Galore. And we comprise 80 to 90% of the prison population. That wasn't justice. It was racial capitalism running at full speed. And this wasn't a passing phase. Convict leasing lasted for over half a century. Long after Reconstruction, deep into Jim Crow. Alabama didn't abolish it until 1928. Even then, it didn't die. It just changed uniforms. Mississippi's Parchman farm. Hell, I got Texas's Imperial Prison Farm in Sugar Land, which ain't but 10 minutes from where I'm standing right now. They turned it into a children's museum. My children have jumped on the jumper gym that they have down there. Texas Imperial Prison, right down the street. State-run prison farms took over. Shout out to Joshua Ben Joseph. But the system remained. Forced labor, brutal conditions, and black men worked to death under government watch. These weren't reforms. They were cosmetic changes. They stripped away the private contracts but kept the same engine of exploitation. Black men, many guilty of only being in poverty or idleness. They were still chained, still whipped, still worked like animals until they broke. And that legacy is alive. Modern prisons, especially in the South, are still labor camps. Inmates grow crops, they sew uniforms, they clean highways, they build furniture, even fight wildfires for pennies on the hour. And they also have it in California. You guys remember that story about Kamala Harris as Attorney General didn't want to release the California prisoners because they didn't want to have to pay firefighters because they were using the California prisoners to fight the fires. It's everywhere. And the economic logic of convict leasing never disappeared. It just got absorbed into the DNA of the American penal system. So convict leasing didn't just fill prisons, it built them. It normalized the idea that the state could criminalize poverty by caging Black people and then squeezing profit from our bodies and our labor. And that logic still runs through the prison industrial complex today. And so now with this July 2025 ICE memo, all you have to do is have a healthy understanding of American history, know a little bit about racism, and you can figure out that this cycle is repeating itself. The playbook is the same. The change the faces, rewrite the laws, funnel a new group of people into the cages, and call it justice. History isn't just echoing, it's warning. Now, convict leasing was never just about punishment, it was about power.
What's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D.
People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You were tuned in to Uncle D. Black man talk, pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something and you earn something. And let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. There's a king here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Attorney Spurling, this ain't pearly, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shooting, give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Holly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, vote and earn. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you been served, gotta know this. 9 black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. 9 black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. 9 black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. 9 black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Flowbee and cut your own damn hair from now